What's happening in West Texas sports? We have your answers. From the Permian Basin to the South Plains to the Texas Panhandle, we have what you need to keep up with West Texas sports on West Texas Sports Extra. I'm your host, Greg Kerr. Here are the gentlemen who will be joining us for this edition of West Texas Sports Extra. Zach Woodard, Sports Director at KFDA in Amarillo. Pete Christie, Sports Director at KCBD in Lubbock. And Jensen Young from KOSA down in Midland, Odessa. Gentlemen, thanks for being along with us again this week. A lot to talk about, but first, let's talk gold. Gold is worth so much these days, isn't it? Especially when you have a gold medal won by the U.S. men's hockey team. And oddly enough, Jensen, I'm going to bring you in for this because your connection is the closest. Connor Hellebuyck, who was the goalie for Team USA, played his junior hockey for one season in Odessa. What more do you know about that?
Yeah, he sure did. And he was a star from the very beginning. I mean, I don't know if more than a decade ago you would have been able to say this kid is going to be the gold medal winning goalie for Team USA in over a decade's time. But he was an absolute star when he was here in 2011, 2012. That season, he won a share of goaltender of the year and rookie of the year in the NAHL. And I mean, he gave up it was 2.49 goals against per game, which for a goalie in junior hockey is very, very, very impressive. So, yeah, Connor Hellebuyck was a star when he was here in Odessa, well before I got here by a good number of years. But he was a star, and, I mean, they were selling the bobbleheads of him before the games and all that. Some of our people here at the station have that bobblehead. He was a star here in Odessa.
You know, it's amazing how even when they're that young, 17, 18, 19, playing junior hockey, that you can tell the difference in the talent level just by individual players. And this was obviously, Jensen, one of those situations when Connor just stood out.
100%. I mean, he was a star from the get-go, like I said, and in just the 1 year, I mean, as a I think teenager still by that point, and as a rookie playing his first scholastic hockey, I mean, he was goaltender of the year for the entirety of the NAHL. So, yeah, he's been a star from the get-go, and it's one of those things where you really can see the difference in youth sports when someone is going to be an absolute star versus just very good as a youth player.
And, Zach, we have a team here in Amarillo, the Amarillo Wranglers in the NAHL, junior hockey. Mm-hmm. It's kind of neat for these young kids to be able to see someone who played in their league, I would imagine, that have now reached almost the pinnacle of the sport, winning a gold medal like that. Plus, he plays on a really good Winnipeg Jets team.
I mean, that is kind of what, junior hockey or when you talk about the lower levels, when you bring up the Amarillo Sod Poodles, who are the AA team for the Diamondbacks, and they got to watch their former players and Corbin Carroll and Alex Thomas and all those guys go on to the World Series. It is just the same when it comes to the Amarillo Wranglers and the West Texas Wranglers. They have expanded to the NA3HL team. I had to learn all about that. Had no idea that there was multiple levels and divisions of junior hockey within the same realm, but it's definitely a growing sport. You get the NA3HL team with the West Texas Wranglers, who then progress to the Amarillo Wranglers and the NAHL. So I can only imagine seeing that. And for the owner of the Wranglers, Austin Suter, who played in the NAHL, I'm sure he has, the same feelings of playing against a guy like Hellebuyck when he was during his hockey days and now transitioned into business. So it's got to be a really cool thing, especially to see, somebody from Texas, even though it's not Amarillo, it's Odessa, but to see somebody from your home state shine on the biggest stage and essentially recreate what you hear about growing up as a kid. We hear about Miracle on Ice all the time when it comes to sports, but way before my time, and now we get to see it. Now I get to tell my kids and the future generations, well, that happened in 1980, but don't forget about 26 when USA did it again. So it was really cool to see.
Another hockey, just quick side note on the game, and Pete, I don't know if you saw this, but Jack Hughes, who scored the winning goal against Canada, back in 1980, when the Americans beat the Soviets for the gold medal, there was a Jack Hughes that was cut right before the Olympics started. And here we are, and I think it was part of the movie as well, Miracle on Ice. Mm-hmm. when I saw that, I'm going, wow, that is like, what, 6 shades of whatever that is. That was just crazy to see. Did you see that, Pete?
I did not see that. We used to have hockey here in Lubbock. We used to have the Lubbock Cotton Kings. They lasted quite a while, had some NHL guys who coached the team for quite a while. And then we had Texas Tech hockey, but they're now playing up in Amarillo. I think at the Ice Ranch up there, just had some home action up there, but those guys got to travel all the way up to Amarillo to play, and I know a lot of people in Lubbock still want to get an ice facility here. I believe Lubbock is the largest per capita without having ice. That's not a claim to fame you want to have in Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, well, that's pretty impressive. Those guys, that's a true love for the game when you're going to travel 120-something miles to and from, 250 miles roughly to play the game of hockey. That's a tribute to that Texas Tech hockey club.
Yeah, and those kids come here and they have the best uniforms. A lot of them are look like tortillas, and they do things right. And so they travel a lot, but they do play quite a few games up there in Amarillo. Recently, we had that snowstorm here, and they all got out on the ice here, and they got to have a practice at home. So I guess they have had a home ice practice, not the general way you would think with a hockey team.
Right, brought to you by Mother Nature. Not the way you really want to skate on ice.
They got to be careful with those tortillas, Pete. The Big 12 is out to ban them. They got to be careful with those.
You're right. You're right.
And we might also add that Connor Hellebuyck was awarded last night by President Trump the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is super impressive, and it has ties back to the city of Odessa with their NAHL program there. And you think of some of the outstanding athletes who have taken away that Medal of Freedom from the president. You go back to Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente, Arnold Palmer. It's a pretty amazing list, and our Connor Hellebuyck is added to the Medal of Freedom list. So that's super impressive. And here we are talking about hockey. That's great, isn't it, in West Texas?
A rarity for us, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, guys, stand by. We're going to come back in just a moment, and we're going to talk about some high school basketball, boys and girls. We are in the thick of the playoffs, and it truly is be good or be gone time. Stick around. We are back with West Texas Sports Extra. High school basketball in the thick of the playoffs right now. The girls are about halfway through. The boys just started here recently, so a lot of games going on, a lot of teams advancing, and a lot of teams calling it quits and looking forward to softball and baseball season. Let's start it off with Zach. What is going on in the Texas Panhandle, Zach?
Well, I'm glad it's Wednesday because this is the only break of the day in the week that we get from high school basketball. And the only breaks that we'll get as we get onto the road to the championship to the Alamo Dome. It has been a whirlwind of a season so far. It's crazy to see, just how good teams continue to get into the postseason. When you think about the regular season ending, you feel like you've seen the best of these teams, and then you forget that they still get to practice and they still get to get better in the month of February and hopefully into March. And just seeing the sheer willpower of some of these teams to continue on their seasons has been phenomenal. We still have several teams alive on the girls' side. A lot of rematches that we're going to see from last year. One in 5A Division I with Tascosa and Denton Ryan. They played in Vernon last year. I got to travel out there, and it was a heartbreaker for the Lady Rebs, but they are right back into the same round, the regional finals, taking on Denton. So that's going to be one to see. And another one, that game's Friday in Childress at 7, and they take the floor right after another rematch in Canyon in Decatur. And I'm certain that ever since last year, the way that the Lady Eagles went out against Decatur, they have had that circled on their map, hoping to see them once again. And here they get the chance to do it. They play at 5 o'clock, so that'll be a great doubleheader in Childress. But one team that has kind of stuck out the most to me has been the Groover Lady Hounds. Had a great regular season, ranked 10th once the rankings were all said and done, and they pulled off what I have seen as the game of the year so far against number 5 Whiteface, a game winner, a game tire to go to overtime. They were tied up 45s with 5 seconds left. In my head, I'm thinking this one's going to double overtime. And Paisley Quirk jumps a pass, gets a steal. And Marley Maupin, a Maupin name that has been within Groover for years and years and years. You see her big sister doing big things at Texas Tech, and here she is in high school as a sophomore making game-winning plays, and that Maupin legacy lives on forever in the city of Groover. So she gets that game winner and pushes them on. So there's just so many great teams that we have seen week in and week out. On the boys side, we have a bunch that are advancing to the area rounds, and too many to name. I don't want to get into all of them because we'll be sitting here for the next hour and a half just talking about it. So it's exciting. Regional semifinals for the girl, or regional finals for the girls, area round for the boys. And one boys team that I will point out is Holy Cross Catholic in TAPS 2A. The first time ever they are playing in the state semifinals. That game started at noon in Waco. I don't have a score update. Hopefully I do by the end as we finish talking. But shout out to the Mustangs and shout out to what they were able to do this year, going all the way and taking on a very familiar opponent to Greg in First Baptist, a Dallas school number one. So the winner of that one goes to the state finals. So it's a win-win for Greg if he gets his old stomping grounds in, or if we get Holy Cross in there as well.
Yeah, that was my 9th grade school. First Baptist, we had to go by city bus downtown. So I lived out in Oak Cliff on the south side, and we used to have to take the city bus, my buddy and I, and we played football. So we had to carry our equipment on the bus every morning, the city bus, and go downtown to go to school. Crazy times. All right, anyway, Pete, bring you in. Is this battle of attrition right now for some of your teams that are in the South Plains?
Boy, we got a lot of teams still playing. We got 12 girls teams, 25 boys teams, and we thought we were going to have a break tonight, but we have All Saints girls playing in the TAP State semifinals. They're number 3, playing number 2, Dallas First Baptist, tonight at 8 p.m. I'm actually heading to Waco tomorrow. We got Lubbock Christian boys and girls playing. If All Saints can win tonight, they advance on. Lubbock Christian girls looking for their 6th straight state championship. Meanwhile, the boys have to play 37-1 McKinney Christian. Last year, they beat them to get to the title game. So that's TAPS. UIL still got Friendship on the girls' side. They beat Prosper Rock Hill last night rather handily. Jada Jackson, who is going to North Texas, she became the all-time leading rebounder for Friendship. And, of course, that team also has Oklahoma State signee Addison Bollinger. So Friendship trying to make a push. They're in the regional final. And then Monterey, Lady Raiders signee Ambrosia Bro Cole had 30 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and they beat Grapevine last night. So now they get number 5 Argyle, 5:30. I believe it's Friday in Baird. And so Lubbock Cooper, Liberty, and again, I don't want to name them all either, but we have 12. On the boys' side, we lost Monterey last night. We lost Friendship last night, but Lubbock Cooper Liberty, they're number 9. They advance on. Got a lot of boys teams advancing. Number 1 Jayton in 1A now plays number 2 Gordon, and those two have been the dominant football programs. They played last year in basketball. Jayton won. We'll see what happens this time. And ironically, they're doing a doubleheader Friday because on the girls' side, Jayton is also playing Gordon. So those are 2 quality programs that have great girls, great boys. But right this weekend, TAP State. Next weekend, UIL state championships. Of course, there are no I had somebody message me today. When's the regional tournament at South Plains College? Well, UIL messed that up when they split. The South Plains College regional was awesome, and it's gone. It was gone last year. It's gone this year. Maybe they'll fix it, but only championships in San Antonio. So we'll be out there next week, and then the boys the following week. So a lot of things going on, but you're right. You got to win to advance on, and I think we started with 49 boys. We're down to 25, and then we're down to 12 girls, and we just hope some of them keep going, and we can keep following these teams to state championships.
It is a lot of fun. I know that. And Jensen, we've talked about being good or being gone, and several of your teams are now gone, right?
Especially on the girls' side of things. We started with nearly 25 girls teams in the first round of it. And through 3 rounds, we are down to 1 team that covers both UIL and TAPS. We are down to just 1 team, the Coahoma Bulldogettes. But I've been talking about the Coahoma Bulldogettes as being a contender for the state championship game. I mean, they have 1 loss all season, and they have dominated so far in the first 3 rounds of playoffs. On Monday in the third round in the regional semifinal, they took down Clyde by 26 points, 3 players in double figures. So they are still on a roll. Now, they have a very difficult one in the regional final. That'll be up against Wall on Friday. But if the first 3 rounds are anything to look at, or the rest of the season for that matter, with only 1 loss, Cohoma's looking pretty good and looking to make a lot of noise as we continue on in the late parts of the postseason. Hopefully we're seeing them as one of the teams getting to San Antonio. As far as the boys side of things, similar to how we started with the girls, a lot of our larger classification schools are out. Both of our 6As that made it are out. Permian hosted last night against El Paso Franklin. And it was actually an incredible night for Permian's KJ Miller. I believe he finished with 28. And it just wasn't enough. They had a good lead in the third quarter. It was tied up at half. Permian pulled out a good lead in the third quarter, and then Franklin just flipped the script in the fourth. They outscored Permian 18-5 in the fourth quarter, and they walked out with a win, heading home with a win to El Paso. In El Paso, we had the Legacy Rebels playing up against Eastlake, and Eastlake got a pretty major win by 20-plus points against Legacy. So both of our 6As are out. All of our 4As are out. So we are down to 3A, 2A, and 1A. As far as some private schools go with TAPS, Midland Christian lost both teams, both the boys and girls teams lost this weekend. Pretty surprising for the Lady Mustangs to be losing at this point. They were really one that I was looking at getting to Waco and getting to be that in that Final Four at least. Going into the postseason, they were the number 1 team in TAPS 5A, and then they lost in the second round. So definitely a little bit of a shocker, to be honest. But yeah, now both Midland Christian teams are out, and we are down to just our smaller schools in terms of the boys team. Definitely looking, though, at the Coahoma girls team to be a contender for state.
And Zach, you can chime in on this. We talked about this last night after watching some of the highlights you had on your 10 o'clock sportscast. And it's amazing to me how there's a lot of travel involved in West Texas, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in the playoffs, because they're playing a lot of neutral courts and all that. But to see these small towns rally around their teams and they travel with them is really kind of cool. And it's almost like a college type atmosphere, isn't it?
It is unlike anything that I have ever seen. I mean, one of the stories that will stick with me forever, and it's another game that we get to see again, and I'm hoping that it's the exact same environment, was Texline and Nazareth girls playing in the regional finals. It was at Amarillo High last year, and I remember, thinking, okay, these towns have 250, 300 people. Maybe half of them get out to the game. It's Amarillo High. There's a lot of space. There'll be parking. I could not find a parking spot when I got to Amarillo High. And this is about 15 minutes, 20 minutes before the game starts. It's not even like halftime. And I get out of the car and I just hear screaming. And I'm like, there has to be something else going on inside of that gym. And it wasn't. It was all the entire town of Texline, the entire town of Nazareth were in the stands cheering them on. And it was just a sight to see. And I couldn't believe that this was the environment of 1A Division II. This is the type of stuff that you see. I barely saw that in Arizona, and I went to a 5A school. We never had crowds like that. So to see a 1A town, especially ones that have pride, like the Nazareth Swiftettes and the Swifts, I mean, they travel as far as they can to go and support their team. So it is definitely unique. And hopefully, I do have an update now. I just got a text. Holy Cross did advance. They did beat Dallas First Baptist 63-55 in overtime. So They are going to state. So hopefully the Holy Cross Mustangs faithful can get out there to support their team. But it's a sight to see watching these 1A, 2A schools just travel like they do.
Yeah, very cool. Pete, you see that the same down on the South Plains, that these small towns really rally around their teams?
Absolutely. And usually they only leave the sheriff, because there are bad people out there who think, man, that whole town's gone, I'm going to go rob them. And so the sheriff sits at the county line to make sure nobody comes in. That's a true story. I know Jayton had everybody there. Those little towns really follow their teams because they probably themselves, the parents have won state titles. Now their kids have a chance. But that's across the board in 1A. I mean, the pride is small town, huge pride.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to come back after a quick break, and we're going to talk college basketball. And Pete's Texas Tech Red Raiders are still hanging in there despite the fact the Red Raiders lost their best player. Stick around. West Texas Sports Extra continues. Time to move on now to college basketball on the men's side. And of course, Pete, your club there in Lubbock, Texas Tech, lost JT Toppin last week to a knee injury. And that was a big blow for the Red Raiders, but they've not missed a beat without their number one, right?
Yeah, and it seems like maybe they were really focusing on getting him the ball. I mean, he had a double-double every time, but now it's these five guys who've really got to bring it. And last night, they beat Cincinnati, who had won 4 in a row, just demolished Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse. And so Tech won 80-68. Christian Anderson had 31 points, 11 rebounds, and I think 7 assists. Donovan Atwell had 4 3-pointers, and the team has not missed a beat, 21-7 now, and a really big test coming up on Saturday. They've got to go on the road to Iowa State. Meanwhile, you wonder, well, JT Toppin, he's out, ACL, what's he do? He's on the bench. He's cheering on the guys. He's now basically another coach, telling guys what to do and really encouraging them. And you see him falling into that role now. It's not a role he wants, but he's part of the team. He's still doing what he can to help this team in any way. And so Red Raiders 21-7, looking to keep things going. Iowa State's going to be tough. They got some tough games coming up here, but Grant McCaslin always knows how to fine tune and put guys in the positions to succeed. And obviously there was a big void when JT Toppin went down, but so far 2-0 without him, and Iowa State to come.
And Pete, I did see that in the latest projections, they had Texas Tech a number 4 seed. You feel good about that?
Yeah, and maybe they run the table here. They could get a 3, but 4 is not bad. And we always said, man, some of these guys are injured, and if they're all healthy, they can really make a run. But now you do not have JT Toppin, and so a lot of these guys have really stepped up. Jalen Petty, Watts, Atwell, and so Christian Anderson's the leader. 31 last night. I think this team can really make a run, and having played, the Houstons, the Arizonas, some top teams in there. Oh, Arizona State, I'll throw in there. You know what I mean? So this team's battle tested.
And Zach, Lone Star Conference, Eastern New Mexico is right there at the top, and all of a sudden Dallas Baptist has reeled off 7 consecutive wins. So it's knocked Eastern New Mexico down, but West Texas still hanging in there for a tournament spot.
Yeah, the Buffs are, still trying to find what's working for them. They're sitting at 19-9, 11-7. They're tied for 6th in the standings right now. So, it's definitely not the year that they had anticipated going into it. But with so many new faces on the floor, I think that gel time is just taking a little bit longer. They've had to deal with a little bit of injuries here and there, but not enough to, actually justify, I think, in Coach Tom Brown's eyes, the season that they're having. So they're still trying to figure it out, but they have a chance to, be one of those teams that clicks at the right time headed into the conference tournament. But it is going to be tough. One of the toughest outs is going to be the Eastern New Mexico Greyhounds. They have been, one of the best teams all year long, number 12 in the country right now. They're coming off a shocking loss to Kingsville. I don't think anybody had that one on their schedule, especially the way the Greyhounds have been playing. So, hopefully at this time of the season with Coach Vo and his crew, that has to be the wake-up call. That has to be okay, we're beatable. We're not going to win every time we take the floor like we have been. So sometimes those losses, especially with just 2 games left in the regular season, can be good when you look at it in the sense of, that wake-up call and get things starting to click. So hopefully that's what it is for Eastern. They're tied for 2nd in the conference right now with Lubbock Christian. So they've definitely proven to be one of the better teams. They're going to have a really, really good time through the conference tournament if they can just find what they've been doing all year long. So, a great year for ENMU, what they had anticipated, a little bit of a down year for WT, but both teams have the potential to click at the right time and see what happens in the conference tournament.
All right, and Jensen, I guess the team you're watching right now in the Permian Basin is Midland College, because they're hanging right in there in their conference right now.
Yeah, Midland College is I think that the conference tournament is almost set at this point. Odessa College is 3 games out, and I think that we have 4, maybe 5 games left in the season. So it's almost settled. Odessa College would be a big miss to not have in the conference tournament, given that the tournament will be hosted at Odessa College. But yes, Midland College in it, and Howard College out in Big Spring still leading the region there, or the conference of the WAC-JAC. So Howard College has been the #1 team in that conference for a long time now, and they are still a top 5 team nationally. So they're going to be really probably the favorite going into the conference tournament. But now Midland College is second in the conference, so they are ones to watch out as well. They're the only other top 10 team from the conference. There's still so many teams from the WAC-JAC that are still in the top 25 nationally for NJCAA. But the ones that we're really honing in on are Howard College out of Big Spring and Midland College as they go into the conference tournament, which, like I said, is going to be hosted by Odessa College, and we might not have the Wranglers in their own tournament.
And right now, UTPB on the cusp in the Lone Star Conference to try to get into that tournament.
Actually, mathematically, they are out now because there are just 2 games left, and they are 4 games back of what that 8th spot would be to get in. Last week we were talking about it, and they were 4 games out with 4 games to go, so they would need a lot to go their way, and just hasn't gone their way. So they are still 4 games back with 2 to go. So both UT Permian Basin and, of course, Sil Ross has been out of the conference tournament picture for a while now, but UTPB officially out with 2 games to go.
All right. And a side note, I think we talked about this last week, the documentary that's out about the American Basketball Association, Soul Power. I think it's on Prime or one of them. But I've watched all 4, and they talked about the 1976 ABA dunk contest, which was the first of its kind, with Dr. J and David Thompson and all these marquee ABA players, Bobby Jones. And one of the players, now Amarillo College does not play basketball anymore, but back in the early 70s, up until the early 70s, Amarillo College had a pretty good team. And they had a player on that team by the name of Larry Keenan, who was known as Dr. K because of his dunking ability. But anyway, Dr. K, Larry Keenan, was also in this dunk contest. He didn't win. Dr. J won. But it was kind of cool as I thought back and know about it now that we had an Amarillo College player, former Badger, in the ABA dunk contest in 1976.
Wow.
What we don't know, but yet we learn, right, guys?
Yes. Always stay learning.
All right, you young guys just have nothing to say about the ABA. It's a red, white, and blue ball.
Don't know much about it. Haven't seen it.
The nicknames of Dr. J and Dr. K, I mean, there wasn't much creativity going on back then. That's all I heard.
Well, hey,
Pete.
To be fair, now the reigning MVP, his nickname is his initials, SGA.
Yeah, that is true.
So it's honestly
That's
not
real
much better.
weak. Pete, help me with this one. Come on, you're a little bit older. Help me with this one. All right? Don't back me in the corner with these young guys.
I remember the ABA. You're right, the red, white, and blue balls. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the three-point line. Okay, we're going to talk women's basketball coming up. Get your thoughts together. We'll explore what's going on in the women's game on the college level. When we come back, you are watching West Texas Sports Extra. Time to talk women's college basketball now on West Texas Sports Extra. And Zach, we'll bring you in first. You know, there's no doubt about it that West Texas A&M always has a pretty good women's basketball team, but right now they're trying to play catch up with Texas Women's out of Denton. That team is on fire at 18-0 in conference, and nipping at their heels are the Buffs, but they can't make up any ground on them at all.
Yeah, I mean, when we saw Texas Women's in WT play, I think it was clear, you know, that's the level that it's going to take to be one of the top teams. And that was a great game that way. We got extra basketball out of that one, and WT had the chance to win it. And, you know, you look back now on a few possessions in that game, you win that one, you're sitting real pretty at number 1, at least tied for it when the season's all said and done. But there was a chance, you know, Texas Women's had to win some really good games. They had to go on the road and play against in some hostile environments that aren't easy to win in, and they found a way to do it. You know, they have a former Canyon Lady Eagle on that roster who's starting to make her way in with Jaylee Moss, and it's been fun to watch her and her progression and, you know, seeing how she's transitioned to the college level. You know, it's just hard to get consistent minutes when you're playing alongside a team that's 18-0 in a tough conference like the Lone Star is. But Lady Buffs have not had a down year by any means. I think the one loss that you look at and kind of scratch your head was that overtime loss to Eastern New Mexico. But since then, they've rattled off 3 straight, and they've found their footing again. They're still sitting, tied for or second, sole second in the Lone Star Conference. So they'll get into the tournament. They'll be a great team to watch, to sit and play. And Coach Prock has talked about teams that he's had in the past, teams that have made runs to the Elite Eight. And this team is right up there in those conversations, if not better. Just the way that these girls have meshed, and the chemistry, and watching players that used to be stars on this team kind of take secondary roles and play valuable minutes now coming off the bench, and doing it with a positive attitude is something that you rarely get to see, especially from college kids, high school kids as well. When you're that young, that sometimes your ego gets too big for the team, but everybody has bought into it. So excited to see the Lady Buffs moving forward. And, speaking of that Eastern win, that overtime win against WT for Eastern, they haven't lost since. So they have found their new footing. And Coach Huber said, if we can play like this, what does this look like when we get to March? We're going to be a tough out in March, and they have certainly shown that they can be and that they will be based off of their run since. So, coming up, there's just 2 regular season games left, and then it is all said and done. So they get Angelo State and UTPB. So that's going to be an interesting one to see. Teams that, that you should beat, but you have to go out and do it, because Angelo State and Permian Basin now have the chance to play spoiler or shake up the rankings when it comes down to it. So you have to take care of business and finish off strong, which WT and ENMU have. So I'm excited to see what the Buffs and Greyhounds look like moving forward.
And Pete, the Lady Red Raiders, 24 wins this year will certainly get them in the tournament. But right now they're 2 games back of TCU in the Big 12, so they're sitting pretty well as the same, right?
Well, at least they're going to get in the tournament. But yeah, they tonight have a really big game at Kansas, 6:30 on ESPN Plus. They're coming off a loss at Colorado, and so the road has kind of been a little setback. But man, they beat Baylor and swept them for the first time in a long time, and they've had some big wins this year, so I think they're going to be ready for the Big 12 tournament as we head up to Kansas City for that, but also for the tournament, wherever they go. Again, playing in the Big 12, you're definitely battle-tested, and this team is ready to make a run. And then, the crowds are back now, and it kind of is, like it's 2004 again with Marcia Sharp. It's been a hot minute for big crowds to be at the USA for the Lady Raiders.
All right, Jensen, what's going on down in the Permian Basin? Struggling times for UTPB women at this point, right?
They're right on the edge of the conference tournament. If it were to end today, they would be in with the final spot. Now with 2 games to go, they have a 1-game lead. So either you win 1 game of your last 2, or you get lucky with the team right below you losing both of their games. And for UTPB, they've been playing well, but it may come down to having to be lucky, because their final 2 games are against both teams for Zach in Eastern New Mexico, and then of course WT being a top-ranked team nationally, and then Eastern New Mexico having solidified their spot in the conference tournament already at this point as well. Is going to be 2 very difficult matchups. Now, UTPB's final home game was on Saturday, and that was against Lubbock Christian University, who is also nationally ranked. And it was a loss, but only by 4 points. So UTPB is right there to compete with the best of the best. So if you can get into the tournament, then maybe you do make some noise. Obviously, that would be first up against, I believe that would be Texas Women's, which as we talked about, they are undefeated and an incredible team. So about the hardest possible matchup that you could have if you do make the tournament as the final seed to get in. But what we're talking about is just getting there and then seeing what can happen. And the final 2 games are going to be tough, like I said, Eastern New Mexico and West Texas. But we'll see what happens with 2 away games left.
And Pete and I, we were trying to overlook the Lubbock Christian women's team, but they're always good, so you can't really overlook them because they're always there, and that's the case again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the men, both ranked, both having solid seasons, and just 2 incredible coaches. I mean, Todd Duncan and Steve Gomez do incredible jobs. In fact, I just hosted a lunch today, and Todd Duncan was there, and he's fired up for his team to finish strong and then get into that tournament. They're high up in the regional rankings, and man, LCU does such a great job out there.
All right, guys, we're going to talk baseball when we come back. West Texas Sports Extra hitting the diamonds right after this. Well, the temperature warming up into the 80s in Amarillo. I'm sure it's like that down in Lubbock and also Odessa. So it feels like springtime. And of course, springtime means baseball and softball. And we certainly have our share of solid programs in West Texas. So let's start it off with Pete. You have arguably the best softball team in the country, Pete, right there in Lubbock with the Texas Tech Lady Red Raiders. And they are off to another scintillating start. Last check I saw, 16-1?
Right. They dropped to number 2 because of that one loss to Nebraska. But after 17 games on the road, they're finally home tomorrow. They have a tournament, but they got some games at 5 o'clock at Rocky Johnson Field. So they went like 20-2 at home last year. So they're ready to make another run and much more depth, a lot more really explosive players, not only defensively but offensively, and they're ready to make a run. I mean, they beat a lot of ranked teams this year, but we'll get to see them with our eyes Thursday night here, 5 o'clock, and man, they're just they're looking good. I mean, Nigeri Candidate, of course, the top player in all of college softball, now has some help along the way, and I think it's paid off so far to sit 16-1.
Yeah, they are fun to watch, and they have a lot of talent with that Texas Tech team, no doubt about that. Zach, no, let's stay with Pete. Pete, how about the Texas Tech baseball team? They were off to a little rocky start, seemed to have found a little footing.
Yeah, they started 0-3 and then got to play Texas Rio Grande Valley, finally got their first win. It was 21-12. And then, you know, with our weather so great, not so great on the East Coast, teams come out here to play. They got a 4-game sweep of Albany and beat the Danes. So they're sitting 5-3 now. It's part of like a 17-game homestand. Penn State is coming out for 3. But the Red Raiders at home, hopefully, got some really strong pitching there. That was the problem when they played some of these top teams at Globe Life Field. But sitting 5-3 now, and hopefully they can keep winning, because you got to win when you're at home and keep that diamond sparkling at Dan Law Field.
And good job with the Albany Danes. I'm pretty good with mascots, but I don't think I knew Albany Danes. That's a good one.
I watch them play lacrosse a lot, and ESPN has them a lot. I sit and watch lacrosse all weekend, and they show Albany a lot.
Yeah, very much an East Coast game. It's kind of filtered more into the rest of the country, but lacrosse is huge on the East Coast, no doubt about that. Zach, West Texas A&M softball and baseball off to pretty good starts. That softball team is pretty solid as well. What's their record now? They're at, 5-1 in the Lone Star Conference already.
Yeah, I mean, 5-1 in the LSC, 15-3 overall. A little bit earlier than we're used to seeing 3 losses on their schedule, but this team is one of those ones that just continues to get better and better. They've been 50-win programs for the last few years, and they're on pace to do it yet again. So, I mean, Coach Mook has definitely has his girls on the right path, and I think the question coming in, I've talked about it before, was what does life look like without Emily Boyer? What happens when you lose the best pitcher and player in Division II softball? And here's your answer: 15 wins, 3 losses, 5-1 in the LSC, and you know they're on the right path. They're rolling through, and they'll get on the road for their next couple of games. They got to play at Schaefer Park, which is always great to have them back home. So now we'll see them get back out on the road. And you know, for the Buffs baseball team, a really, really rocky start. You know, and the one thing that I loved about Coach Corey Hall, what he was doing with his guys, was the positivity and the energy was still there, even when they were losing, because they had leads and they would give them up, but you could still see them coming in the next game, not holding their heads and not sulking. And they routed off some really good wins. They started off with the losing record, and now they sit at 8-6 overall and in conference. So definitely on the up and ups. And you know, kind of on the flip side of that, ENMU baseball was kind of the team that WT had to step on to get their rhythm going. So ENMU sitting at 2-8 right now, still trying to find their footing. A lot of new guys on that roster, and the same kind of goes for their softball team. So you know, the softball team 6-7. 5-7, still trying to get to that 500 mark. They've had to play against some really, really tough teams in, Cameron and Angelo State and WT. So to have 7 losses against some teams like that, you really can't hold your head too much, and you just got to go out and win the ones that you have to win, the games they're capable of winning. So still early on in the season, but we have seen what these teams have potential to do, the capabilities that they have to do, and sticking to the baseball sides of things. Amarillo College is starting to come to life now. A little bit of a slow start with losing some big names. Gerardo Prado was a really, really good player from last year, now playing at Oklahoma. So that's what they want. That's what Coach Raines wants for his guys, to come to the JUCO level, play at a place like Hodgetown, and then go on to D1 and go on to play at the highest level that you possibly can. So they are actually coming off a series win against Garden City Community, where they set a team record of strikeouts in a series with 49 in those 4-game spans. And Duncan Bowles was the leader of it. We saw him branding a Randall Raider uniform when he was in high school. So always great to see local talent staying with it. And I mean, this is his 3rd year at AC as a redshirt. So guys that typically are there longer than they want to be, but still finding their rhythm. He's coming off of injuries, and he's looking like he's the old Bulls again. So it's great to see him out there and playing, and AC is starting to find their footing.
And Jensen, where's your eye being cast upon right now? Is it the junior colleges in baseball and softball, or is it UTPB?
Well, I'll start with UTPB. Obviously, we have a lot of success in junior college, but I'll start with UTPB and continue on the Lone Star Conference talk like we were talking about. I want to start with UTPB baseball. They are yet to win a series, but they're also yet to be swept in a series. They have won 1 game from all 4 series so far, and I think I pointed it out last week, but all 3 wins, by that point, they're up to 4 wins now. All 3 wins had come when Damian Robles started the game. He was credited for 2 of those 3 wins. The 1 win in this last series, Damian Robles started the game and earned the win. So I know it's not really often suggested, but just start him on every game at this point. If you want to win a game, just put him out there. You'll figure it out. So Damian Robles at 3-0 in terms of decisions. He's started 4 games, and UTPB has won, like I said, every single one of those. As far as the softball team, a really good start to the season in the non-conference. A little bit of a difficult start to conference play, 1-3 so far in conference play. So kind of coming back down to earth as to where the Lady Falcons were expected to be. But definitely, still some high expectations given the great start to the year in non-conference. As far as junior college, Midland College is really where we're focusing. Odessa College softball is supposed to be very good, and they will be very good, but they had a shock 2 losses out of 2 games to Temple College this week. Temple College is ranked nationally, but Odessa College is expected to be one of the best teams in the country in JUCO. As far as Midland College, like I said, we are focusing on both baseball and softball for the Shaps. Both teams were undefeated coming into this week, when we talked this time last week. Midland College softball has suffered their first loss. Greg, you'll like this one because you were a Weatherford College guy. Weatherford College, the 1 loss for the Lady Shaps so far. They are 9-1. As for the baseball team, still undefeated. We are talking about the Shaps being an incredible team. They are in the top 5 nationally, undefeated at 13-0. And it's kind of just a matter of, will a team beat them, not when will a team beat them, because they are looking unstoppable. That 1 game last week where it was 20-0 was a win, and I talked about it being the 13 runs in that 1 singular inning. And if you can do 13 runs in 1 inning, you are capable of scoring and beating any team by that point. So we are talking about the Midland College Shaps being a great team for who knows how long. But they are still undefeated, 13-0, top 5 nationally.
All right, Jensen, I'm honored that you would remember that I went to Weatherford Junior College. I was there so long ago, we had no 3-point line, and we had no baseball team. That's how long ago that's been. But I do appreciate that. It's very, very nice, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, the softball team got the 1 win against an, at the time, undefeated team. So that's something to hang your hat on, Greg.
You bet, for sure. All right, guys, when we come back, we're going to have our extra point. So get your opinions together, and we'll see what they are. They've been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks, no doubt about that, because Pete goes off on the rails about stuff. So you'll want to stick around for that. West Texas Sports Extra continues after this quick break. All right, my favorite portion of the show, it's our extra points where the guys can go off on any tangent they want to go off on because that's the kind of time we have here on West Texas Sports Extra. And I love to hear the opinions of you guys. So up first, leading off for our extra points is Zach Woodard from KFDA. Go ahead, Zach. What you got?
Oh, man.
Get prepared for this.
I wish I had a shocker like I had last week, a stunner, as you would say, to the world of GOAT conversations. My opinion has not changed since then, and it will not change, so we'll leave that one alone. But, there's a couple of them. I know we talked about the fighting world of what's coming up to see. I did see that we do get another Mayweather-Pacquiao bout as well, so I'm excited to see that one. That was one of the first fights that I got to see that really made me a boxing fan, so that's really cool to see. But my main extra point, and I'll leave it at this one, a huge shout out to the Holy Cross Academy. They are into the state finals for the first time in program history. They had to take down First Baptist. Sorry, Greg, to do it, but that's just the nature of the game. You win some, you lose some, but you get to fight another day. And for the Mustangs, they will continue on their fight in Waco. It looks like that game's going to be tomorrow at noon. So wishing them the best of luck, and a huge shout out to the season that they were able to have so far.
All right, Jensen, talk to us. Extra point.
So I'm gonna stick local with mine, and a little bit of a self promo, if I may, with that. I have a good package on the Wink golf program. Wink is a 2A school here in just south of or southwest, I guess, of Odessa. We're talking. They finished up a new golf facility, brand new state-of-the-art technology golf facility, and the final training for it for the coaches and players to learn how to use it was earlier this month in February, and they just finished up a $5.5 million golf facility. It's fitted out with 6 TrackMan hitting bays, a putting lab where it has a couple sloped areas of the floor, and it has projectors that come down and show you a guiding line of saying, hey, with this curve, you take this line, this is where you're shooting, and then because of the slope, this is how it'll go. So it shows you all of that. Has 6 different hitting bays, of absolutely expansive putting green and chipping areas. So very, very, very impressive facility. I was able to go there a couple weeks ago, get a tour of it, talk to the athletic director, talk to a couple of students who were using it at the time, and it is very, very impressive. So I have a special coming out about that, and who knows, maybe the next big golfer is coming out of Wink, Texas with this.
Well, Jensen, I think you need to talk to our friends at Gray Media and see if we can get one of those installed at all of our stations. I think I could use that for my game, no doubt about that.
I will tell you right now, I can definitely use that for my game because my game is putt-putt.
Yeah, Greg's a sandbagger. Greg's a good golfer. He's just sandbagging right now.
All right, quick little bit of trivia on Wink, Texas, Jensen. In case you ever heard of the song Pretty Woman, Walking Down the Street, Pretty Woman?
Yeah.
Roy Orbison, out of Wink, Texas.
Yes, I was on the Wink Wikipedia page while I was kind of looking for some other talking points within this story, and I saw that was the first paragraph of the Wink, Texas Wikipedia page. And I don't know if it's the best thing to have as your introductory paragraph for it, but it noted that later in life he had talked about that he was relieved to get out of West Texas because it was just so much oil and dirt. So not necessarily the greatest review on the opening paragraph of your Wikipedia page for your town. Maybe we should get with Wikipedia and go and edit that to say home of the Wildcats, which, by the way, they are orange and black are their colors. My high school, I was the Wildcats, and we were orange and black. So a little bit of extra love for the orange and black Wildcats out of Wink. So I think that should be the note at the start of their Wikipedia page.
That's a beautiful thing, Jensen. All right. Pete, your extra point.
Oh, well, first, hey, we finally get the number 2 in the nation, Texas Tech Red Raiders softball team home. They're going to play Abilene Christian University, 5 p.m. tomorrow night at Rocky Johnson Field. Multiple games throughout the weekend. North Texas coming in. But just a good chance to finally get to see what this team's all about after a runner-up national championship, finishing second to Texas. And then heading out to Waco tomorrow, especially for Lubbock Christian boys and girls. The girls are number 1, 5-time defending state champs in 4A. They used to be in 3A, some of those championships, but now 4A. They've got number 2 Lake Country. They split during the regular season, so this is the proverbial rubber match tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Waco University, and then the Lubbock Christian boys play Midland or McKinney Christian. They're 37-1. They beat them last year in the semis. Going to try to do it again Friday morning, also at Waco University. So we're excited to get out and cover TAPS. Last weekend, I went and saw my son play tennis at Little Elm. It was like 26 degrees. It is miserable when your kid plays a sport and it's so cold outside. But he finished third, beat some of those Metroplex kids, and now he's coming up. And I hope, Zach, you're going to be nice to my boy. He's coming up to Cap Rock on Friday. Okay. They got a big tournament up there. So I'm not going to make it, but hopefully he's going to represent in Amarillo.
All right, very cool.
We'll make sure he's taken care of, Pete. We got you. We got you.
And my extra point is I didn't know Jensen. I really didn't know Pete before we started West Texas Sports Extra. But Jensen and I became friends on Facebook. And Jensen, you know what I got the other day? A top fan badge for you. So look at that. Look at that. See? The magic of social media. That's right. All right, good stuff. All right, fellas, we do appreciate you. This has been a really fun outing of episode number 3 of West Texas Sports Extra. Good luck to all your teams in the next coming days, and we're back here again next week to talk about West Texas sports.